There's no doubt for a pure rock and roll entertainer in different styles, heavy metal, hard rock, dark rock, whatever you want to call it. Ozzy Osbourne was favored by many, hated by some, especially during the infamous satanic scare of the 1980s. But today's podcast, we're going to pay tribute to Ozzy, who passed away today. His family announced on July 22nd at the age of 76. Now, according to published reports, he sold over 100 million albums, including for his solo work and Black Sabbath releases. Inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Black Sabbath in 2006 and a solo artist in 2004. Now, John Michael Osbourne was born at Maternity Hospital in Marston Green on 3rd December 1948 and grew up in the Aston era of Birmingham. His mother, Lillian Nee Unit, who passed away in 2001, was a non-observing Catholic who worked at a Lucas factory. His father, John Thomas Jack Osbourne, who died in 1977, worked night shifts as a toolmaker at the GE company. Osbourne had three older sisters named Jean, Iris, and Gillian, and two younger brothers named Paul and Tony. The family lived in a small two-bedroom home at 14 Lodge Road in Aston. Osbourne gained the nickname Ozzy as a child. Unfortunately, he dealt with dyslexia at school. His accent has been described as a hesitant Brummie at the age of 11. Unfortunately, he suffered sexual abuse from school bullies. He said he attempted suicide multiple times as a teenager because of the trauma. Now, when he left school at the age of 15, he was employed as a construction site laborer, trainee plumber, apprentice toolmaker, car factory horn tuner, and slaughterhouse worker. At the age of 17, he was convicted of robbing a clothes store, but was unable to pay the fine. His father also refused to pay it in order to teach him a lesson, resulting in Osbourne spending 6 weeks in Winson Green prison. He participated in school plays as well, including Gilbert Sullivan's The Mikado and HMS Pinafore. Upon hearing his first single of the Beatles at age 14, he became a fan of the band and credited their 63 song, She Loves You, and inspiring him to become a musician. In the 2011 documentary, God Bless Ozzy Osbourne, Ozzy said that the Beatles made him realize he was going to be a rock star the rest of his life. Now, in late 1967, Geezer Butler formed his own band, Rare Breed, and recruited Osbourne to be the singer. The band played 2 shows and broke up. Osbourne and Butler reunited in another band, Polka Tulk Blues, which included guitarist Tony Iommi and drummer Bill Ward, whose band Mythology recently broke up. They renamed the band Earth. But after being accidentally booked for a show instead of a different band with the same name, they decided to change the band's name again, settling on the name Black Sabbath in August 1969. The band's name, of course, was inspired by the film of the same title. Black Sabbath noticed how people enjoyed being frightened during their appearances, were inspired to the decision to play a heavy blues style of music, laced with gloomy sounds and lyrics, as we say, dark rock. While recording their first album, Butler read an occult book and woke up seeing a dark figure at the end of his bed. Butler told Osbourne about it, and together they wrote the lyrics to Black Sabbath, their first song, in a darker vein. Now, the band's U.S. record label, Warner Brothers, invested only modestly in it, but Black Sabbath met with swift and enduring success. Built around Iommi's guitar riffs, Geezer Butler's lyrics, Bill Ward's dark tempo drum beats, and topped by Osbourne's eerie but direct vocals, their debut album Black Sabbath and Paranoid were commercially successful and also gained considerable radio airplay. They were kind of the instigators of what they call rock FM trend that really started in the late 60s, early 70s in the States and Canada. Osbourne recalls, however, that in those days the band wasn't very popular with the women. At about this time, he met his future wife, Sharon. After the unexpected success of their first album, Black Sabbath were considering her father, Don, as their new manager, and Sharon was at the time working as Don's receptionist. Osbourne admits he was attracted to her immediately, but assumed she was probably thought it was a lunatic. Osbourne later recalled that the best thing about eventually choosing Don Arden as manager was that he got to see Sharon regularly, though the relationship was strictly professional at that point. Just 5 months after the release of Paranoid, the band released Master of Reality. The album reached the top 10 in both the States and the UK and was certified gold in less than 2 months. In the 80s, it received platinum certification and went double platinum in the early 21st century. Reviews of the album were unfavorable, as Lester Bangs of Rolling Stone famously dismissed Master Reality as naive, simplistic, repetitive, absolute doggerel, although the very same magazine will later place the album at number 298 under 500 Greatest Albums of All Time list, compiled in 2003. In September of 72, Black Sabbath released Black Sabbath Volume 4. Critics were dismissive of the album. However, it reached gold status in less than a month. It was a band 4 consecutive albums to sell over 1 million copies in the States. So you're seeing the rise of Black Sabbath. You're seeing the rise of AC/DC. Led Zeppelin was still heavy, but again, that type of rock, Ozzy was king. Now, in November 73, Black Sabbath released the critically acclaimed Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. For the first time, the band received favorable reviews in the mainstream press. Gordon Fletcher of Rolling Stone called the album an extraordinary, gripping affair and nothing less than a complete success. Decades later, AllMusic's Eduardo Rivadavia called the album a masterpiece essential to every heavy metal collection, while also claiming the band displayed a newfound sense of finesse and maturity. The album marked the band's 5th consecutive platinum-selling album in the U.S. Sabotage was released in July 75. Again, there were favorable reviews. RS stated Sabotage is not only Black Sabbath's best record since Paranoid, it might be their best ever. Now, between late 77 and early 78, unfortunately, Osbourne left the band for 3 months to pursue a solo career called Blizzard of Oz, a title which had been suggested by his father. 3 members of the band, Necromandus, who had supported Sabbath in Birmingham when they were called Earth, backed Osbourne in the studio and briefly became the first incarnation of his solo band. At the request of the other band members, Osbourne rejoined Sabbath. The band spent 5 months at Sounds Interchange Studios in Toronto, where they wrote and recorded their next album, Never Say Die. It took quite a long time, Iommi said. We were getting really drugged out, doing a lot of dope. We go down to the sessions and we have to pack up because we're too stoned. We'd have to stop. Nobody could get anything right. We're all over the place. And everybody was playing a different thing. We go back and sleep it off and try again the next day. Now in May 78, Black Sabbath began the Never Say Die tour with Van Halen as an opening act. Reviewers called Sabbath's performance tired and uninspired, in stark contrast to the youthful performance of Van Halen, who were touring the world for the first time. The band recorded their concert at Hammersmith Odeon in June 78, which was released as Never Say Die. The final show of the tour and Osbourne's last appearance of Black Sabbath for another 7 years until 85 was in Albuquerque on the 11th of December. Now in 79, Black Sabbath returned to the studio, but tension and conflict arose between band members. Osbourne recalls being asked to record his vocals over and over, and the tracks were manipulated endlessly by Iommi. The relationship between Osbourne and Iommi became contentious. On 27 April 79, at Iommi's insistence, but with the support of Butler and Ward, he was ejected from Black Sabbath. The reasons provided to him that it was unreliable and excessive substance abuse issues compared to the other members. Osbourne claims his use of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs at the time were neither better nor worse than other members. So, from all indications, ladies and gentlemen, Osbourne was getting a lot more publicity than the other members of the band. And of course, when he was replaced with Ronnie James Dio, that's what launched his solo career, and the rest is history. And Black Sabbath did get back together for certain things, but it was, again, not the same. So Ozzy Osbourne, rise from prison and menial jobs to the head of Black Sabbath, when really, not say he invented heavy metal, but he perfected it. And for much of the 70s, they were the king of the heavy metal music. So fans of Ozzy Osbourne, it's not going to be a whole career perspective, just what he did with Black Sabbath, and that established him. It's hard to believe, ladies and gentlemen, 50 years ago, Black Sabbath, again, one of the biggest heavy metal acts of all time. So time just flies when you're having fun. So ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're doing here, we're a Behind the Tracks podcast. Let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share.